Fashion trends are a popular topic I cover on this channel, and I think it's important to understand the trend stages to help us as consumers make better choices. This video is for anyone that wears clothes. Here are the key benefits from understanding trend cycles. Make informed purchase decisions, stay up to date on trends, save money, and reduce waste. A fashion trend's life cycle can be divided into 5 stages: introduction, rise, peak, decline, and obsolescence. Today I'm sharing an in-depth view of each stage. The current life cycles of fashion trends have changed. Technology and social media contribute to them being shorter and less predictable than in the past. Luxury and fast fashion brands move through the trend life cycle differently. For a long time, it was commonly said that fashion trends cycle back every 2 decades. In the industry of before, 20 years was enough time for a trend to rise in popularity, fade away for long enough to be forgotten, and return again with a modern twist. Now, while the 20-year cycle remains true to an extent, innovative technologies and social media have drastically condensed the life cycle of trends today. Styles from every decade make appearances at seemingly random moments, and several styles can be popular at the same time. Merchandising technologies have evolved. So, for example, the phone app that you're using to shop keeps track of what you and I buy, can make product recommendations for us, but more importantly, the app gives the retailers information about popular products, inventory levels, what they should restock. They also send push notifications, those are the pop-ups with new alerts on our phones, and offer discount codes to incentivize us to buy based on historically what we already liked and purchased. In stores, the cash register is a complex AI which can also store and provide trends to the retailers based on shopper habits. All of these improvements have greatly reduced the speed to market, and along with social media, they make it so trends rise and fall overnight. Introduction stage. This is the initial stage where a new fashion trend makes its debut and starts gaining traction among consumers. It's the stage where the trend is first introduced to the market. This could happen in a few ways, such as a new designer showcasing their latest collection, a celebrity sporting a new style on the red carpet, or a fashion blogger featuring a new look on their platform. Once the trend has been introduced, it starts to gain attention and generate buzz among consumers. People begin to take notice of the trend and may start discussing it on social media or fashion forums. At this point, it's important to know that the trend is still relatively unknown and only a small group of early adopters may be embracing it. Now, let's take a look at an example of a fashion trend in the introduction stage: the shoulder pad trend. This trend, which was popularized in the 80s, has recently made a comeback. We first started seeing this trend on the runway with designers such as Balenciaga featuring oversized shoulder pads in their collections. Now, as this trend started gaining traction, we saw more and more celebrities and influencers embracing it. So, for example, Hailey Bieber wore a pink blazer with shoulder pads to the Met Gala in 2019, and Kendall Jenner wore a black blazer with shoulder pads to the event in 2020. These sightseeings helped to increase the trend's visibility and generate more interest among consumers. The rise stage. The second stage of the life cycle is a trend's rise to popularity, in which a style evolves from simply new to trendy. Today, this often happens with the help of celebrities and influencers who popularize the style either by paid promotion or genuine appreciation. Stylists and media strategists often play a big role in this form of popularization, calculating which influencer will wear what. For instance, the widely followed pop star Ariana Grande and Olivia Rodrigo began wearing platform heels at the start of 2021 in their social media posts and music videos. By the end of 2021, trend forecasters noted a 26% rise in popularity of the shoes between the winter 2020 and 2021 among women in Europe. The original shoe worn by pop stars had been created most notably by fashion houses Valentino and Versace, but just 1 year later, retailers like ASOS were carrying platform heels from a range of fast fashion brands. Momentum such as this explains how a trend can go from celebrity favorite to mainstream favorite. Celebrities are largely responsible for diffusing trends to the general public. Trend diffusion is when a brand creates a second collection at a lower price point to be more accessible to general population. We saw the platform heal how high fashion trends also propagate through copying, where fast fashion brands repeat the trend themselves for a wider customer base. Brands like Pretty Little Thing and ASOS now sell a low-cost version of the Valentino and Versace platform heel, allowing a wider consumer base to access and further popularize the trend. This also explains why more and more high fashion designers offer diffusion lines to sell similar products at lower prices in order to remain competitive at the hands of mass market brands who often copy their designs. You see, while luxury brands are innovative and introduce new trends, if they keep their prices high, they stand apart, but the masses can't buy them and lose a big chunk of the market to the trend diffusers. The peak stage is where a trend reaches the climax of its popularity among a mainstream audience. Most major retailers now carry the trend and make it accessible to all consumer types, often at lower prices than during the increase stage. And as a result, most luxury brands no longer carry the trend. This is an odd time in a trend's life cycle because the length of its peak is rather unpredictable. Some trends, like the kitten heel sandals, were popular for only one season in 2021. Research data revealed an 18% decrease between summer 21 and summer 2022 among American women. Now, this is where trend forecasters can provide useful data to fashion brands who must know from season to season what trends picked up in mass popularity. A trend that's predicted to decrease in popularity the next season won't be included in the brand's upcoming collection, leaving more room for new trends to take their place. Here, high fashion and luxury brands tend to be at least one season ahead of their bridge and fast fashion counterparts. This is because they're often the ones introducing new trends, and they tend to steer away from mainstream appeal in order to maintain their trendsetter status. At this peak, a trend is usually no longer carried by luxury brands. Instead, fast fashion brands push these styles. The decline stage closely follows the peak stage because it lives behind a fine line of market oversaturation. A trend's widespread popularity is often its downfall because consumers tend to grow tired of seeing too much of a trend or start to feel too mainstream. The kitten heel is a good example of this, with external factors influencing the trend's popularity, namely the Sex and the City reboot and the return of the Y2K fashion. The kitten heel style rose so quickly that consumers grew bored of it just as fast. When this happens, luxury brands keep the trend for 1 or 2 seasons only, and retailers begin to sell the trend at discounted prices before eventually phasing out the trend entirely. Now let's take a look at another example of a fashion trend in the decline stage, the acid wash jeans. This trend was popular in the 80s, the early 90s, but by the mid-90s, it had already started to decline in popularity. Now in recent years, we've seen a resurgence of the 80s and 90s fashion, but acid wash jeans have not made a comeback to the same extent as other trends from that era. So as a result, we're starting to see less and less of acid wash jeans in stores and on the streets. Brands and retailers have moved on to newer trends, and the remaining inventory is being sold at discounted prices. While there may still be some die-hard fans of acid wash jeans out there, it's clear that the trend has reached its end and is no longer relevant in the market. In some cases, a trend may experience a recovery or revival many years later, but this is rare. For the most part, once a trend has reached the decline stage, it's unlikely to make a comeback anytime soon. During the obsolescence stage, a fashion trend begins to lose its appeal and popularity. Consumers start to move on to newer trends, and the trend that was once so popular starts to feel outdated and overdone. This decline can happen gradually or quickly, depending on the trend and the market. As the trend loses popularity, we start to see it less frequently on the runway, runway, in fashion magazines and social media. Fashion brands and retailers begin to phase out their collections featuring the trend and start focusing on newer trends that are gaining traction in the market. Let's take a look at an example of a fashion trend in the obsolescence stage, the skinny jeans. For many years, skinny jeans were a staple in fashion world and were worn by countless celebrities and influencers. However, in recent years, we've seen a shift towards looser, more relaxed fits such as the wide leg jeans and mom jeans. As a result, we're starting to see less of skinny jeans on the runway and in fashion magazines. Brands and retailers are also starting to phase them out in favor of newer trends. While there are still some die-hard fans of skinny jeans out there, it's clear that the trend has peaked and is on decline. In some cases, a trend may become so overdone and saturated that it becomes a fashion faux pas. This is when a trend has become so unpopular and outdated that it's no longer considered stylish or fashionable. For example, in the early 2000s, the trucker hats were a huge trend, but they eventually became so overdone that they fell out of favor and became a fashion faux pas. And finally, here are some reasons why I think it's beneficial for us as consumers to understand the fashion trends' life cycles. Making informed purchase decisions. By knowing which stage a trend is in, we can decide whether to invest in a particular item or not. For example, if a trend is in its decline stage, it may not be worth spending a lot of money on a piece of clothing or accessory that may soon go out of style. Staying up to date, consumers who are interested in fashion, like you and me, can use their knowledge of the fashion life cycles to stay up to date on the latest trends. By keeping an eye on trend as they move through the life cycle, consumers can stay ahead of the curve and be among the first to adopt new trends. Saving money. By understanding the fashion life cycle, we can also save money. We can wait for a trend to reach its decline stage before purchasing items, as they are likely to be discounted or available at a lower price point. And finally, reducing waste. By avoiding purchasing items that are likely to fall out of fashion quickly, we can reduce the amount of clothing and accessories that they discard. This is especially important given the environmental impact of fast fashion. Key takeaway: understanding the fashion life cycles can help us as buyers make more informed, sustainable, and cost-effective fashion choices. I hope you learned something new today, and now it makes more sense why you see some trends overlap, or when I share about upcoming trends that are not available to shop for yet, or why the old trends are still on the market. There's a difference between the new trends coming in the upcoming season versus what we currently see on the market. They are two separate waves, one is rising and one is declining. Share if you think someone else might find it helpful. For more videos from the Explain series, I have an entire playlist on fashion and style tips. Or for the latest trends, check out my next video here. I'll see you there.